a brand in itself. But is that fiction? Is that reality? How big is that brand?
So, do you want me to answer it this way, or shall I just finish what I have to say and then...
Up to you, up to you.
What would you like, since we're a democracy? I think let me share my initial thoughts, and then you can, in your inimitable style, quiz me. Would that work?
Absolutely.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and the good news is I don't have a teleprompter. So I'm actually looking into your charming eyes when I speak about a person who has actually captured the imagination not just of India, but if I may add, of the world. The man's name is Narendra Damodar Modi. Let me begin with an early morning anecdote of today. I got a call from an old Parsi friend of mine called Zubin Karkaria, who runs VFS. I don't know what it stands for, but I do know they do all the visas across the world. That company is a unicorn, and he asked me, what time is your afternoon siesta? I said, thanks to Times Now and the Times Network, there is no siesta today because I have a talk at 3:15, which has been delayed thanks to Eknath Shinde's new friend, Milind Deora. So he says, what will you speak on? I said, Brand Modi. He says, I have to tell you, he is the best encourager and bird keeper. I said, what do you mean? He says, for us at VFS, means for them, he has allowed them to fly with wings of confidence and with wings of courage. The hallmark of a brand is you never buy a brand. People tell you, no, a brand kharidte. No. You buy a benefit. You don't buy Colgate, you buy the whitest wash. It so happens that in your mind, the whitest wash is signified by Colgate, so you keep buying Colgate. Many of you who are young, some of the people in front who are sporting recent dentures are not. You remember, some were bywords. When we wanted to talk about edible oil, we talked about dalda. Today, when you talk about serious politics, you talk about Narendra Modi. When you talk about walking to nowhere, you talk about another young man who's not so young anymore. So the world changes. What is amazing about Narendra Modi, and I've written this, I first met Narendra Modi in 1999 when I was asked to handle the campaign for Atalji when he was staking claim for prime ministership. And from then till now, the hallmark of Narendra Modi is only one: consistency and focus. That's what great brands are all about. Brands are all about being consistent. You know that you will not be surprised with bad quality, you will not be surprised with unpredictability, and what's more, you will not be surprised with letting the customer down. No matter what you might say, and I hate all political parties. I think all political parties should be banned, but then what democracy will we have? I mean, Navika, poor thing, can't run India, even though she should. So what do? We are in a bind. Of all the choices that you have today, Narendra Modi is the only brand that has been made by himself, made for India, and made by Indians. Every other brand, more often than not, has been a brand out of legacy, has been a brand out of inheritance, and has been a brand which has been supported or substantiated by other factors. Narendra Modi has no lineage to talk about except the one he will leave behind. That's what great brands are about. Modi touches the hearts and minds of people, whether they love him or hate him. That's what great brands are about. You know what is the worst form of human antagonism? Is when you are indifferent to the human being. You can love a human being, you can hate a human being, but when you're indifferent, it's the worst insult to that human being. Today, Narendra Modi is the only political brand in India that is engaging every day. Whether you like it or not, he's in your face. Is that a good thing? Time will tell. He's there for a temple. He's there for a metro run. He's there to talk to, religious communities. He's pumping flesh with the G8 leaders. He's organizing the G20. And he's working 18 hours a day. The last time he went to Bangkok was for a conference. That's the difference. That is the difference. Brands need to constantly work. They need to constantly innovate. They need to constantly recalibrate. Great brands are those that are often and always relatable to people and people's desires, people's wants, people's needs. Brands are not, as you and I think, some vacuous entity that is found on the top of a shelf. Which are great literature brands that you and I remember. If I were to look at Hindi literature, Dinkar, Premchand, Rabindranath Tagore, more recently in the world of theatre, Vijay Tendulkar, Mahesh Dattani, which are the political brands that you remember? Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, Mulayam Singh, Jayaprakash Narayan. The list is endless. But which brand will be remembered for altering India and altering the way Indians are perceived? Brands must always fulfill a need. What was the need in 2014? The need was for India to rise from the abyss and from the nadir it had sunk to by being known across the world as a country that promoted crony capitalism, that engendered corruption, and that was all about nepotism. That is what 2014 was all about. From 2004 to 2014, you had a lady who was in power but not in office. You had a man who was in office but not in power. That's the irony. Today you have Narendra Modi who's in power and in office. There's another person who's out of power and in jail, but we'll go to that later. He's also a brand. He's a disruptive brand. He's not a brand that you would take home to your mother and say, "Isse main shaadi kar loon." So which are the brands that you would be proud about? Whether you like it or not, and I don't subscribe to a lot of the things that Mr. Modi may subscribe to. I've often said that the BJP has been the worst communicator of its remarkable achievements. And let me tell you, very few governments have achieved what the BJP government has achieved from 2014 till now. But all of that is covered by the din of what I call nonsensical surround sound, which deals with religion, communities, all of that stuff. But Modi will be remembered. He will be remembered for integrating Jammu and Kashmir. He will be remembered for making the Indian diaspora feel proud, no matter which country they are in, no matter which nationality they hold today. He will make them, and he has made them proud of their origins. He has given to the poorest of the poor dignity. Dignity is more important than wealth. And let me tell you about poverty. It was famously said that poverty is not about money. It is about the lack of opportunities. That has changed under Narendra Modi, and that should continue to change. And Narendra Modi's other great brand descriptor is decisiveness. But even more important than that is his unwillingness to listen to surround sound. I was just telling some friends earlier, there's no point in being popular. You can never be popular with everyone or anyone. The moment you get up from the dining table, they will abuse you. So if you're looking for popularity, go to Big Boss house. But if you're looking to run the country, be like Modi. Because many decisions will seem unpopular now, but they are for the greater good for tomorrow. And great leaders plan for tomorrow. Poor leaders walk today. Great leaders plan for India. Poor leaders plan on dividing India. Great leaders want to embrace the idea of India. Poor leaders want India to be divisive, broken up into little pieces. That's the difference between Narendra Modi and whoever else that you take into account. Which is why he will win elections. Because he's a political person. And the last thing before I get into this Q&A with Deepti, Narendra Modi is a politician. He's not an activist. He runs a political party, not an NGO. He's concerned about the aspirations of 1.4 billion people. He's not concerned about the aspirations of 127 jokers sitting in some foreign university trying to understand what he's saying. That's the essential difference. So the brand will continue to embellish itself because it has the power of sustenance from you and me and the voters. The blessings or the curse. That's what real brands are about. Brands are the ones that make a difference. Brands are the ones that encourage you. Brands are the ones that inspire you. And most importantly, great brands are those that invigorate you. If you can't be inspired, you can't be invigorated, and you can't be encouraged, then what's the purpose of a political brand? Did Churchill win the war himself? No. Did Netaji not say that I will give you freedom, give me your blood, sweat and tears? So history is evident. History is witness to the fact that great brands are the ones that engage with consistency and with focus. Great brands are those that listen, but they don't listen to everything because ultimately their desire is to get things done. Their desire is not to find fault. Great brands are about optimism. Weak brands are cynical. Great brands are about the future. Weak brands are about yesterday. And that's why I believe Narendra Modi is a compelling brand. Brand Modi is not an idea whose time has come. It's an idea whose time shall remain. Tomorrow, who knows? It might become a noun for great work. It might become synonymous with hard work. And it will be a byword for being a true Indian. That's Narendra Damodar Das Modi.
So what brand Suhel Seth has done is to ensure that most of the questions that I prepared, he decided to, just go there, answer most of them by himself. So that is brand Suhel Seth for all of you, ladies and gentlemen. But being a journalist, I will still poke him. We'll ask him questions. We'll also take a lot of your responses to it. Because a lot of what Suhel said does make sense. But then it makes you ask the obvious question. One brand doesn't fit all, many would say, Suhel. Brand saturation, brand fatigue. Is this also a reality in today's day and time? You see him everywhere. He talks to you morning, day, evening, afternoon, almost every time. What does that lead us to?
It's very similar to watching the news hour every evening. We don't get tired. We watch it every night. It's the best network on the planet. We love all of you.
News
we don't get tired. We
election.
See Navika, we see Deepti, we see Madhav, we see Padmaja every day. We're not tired. We're invigorated. We are encouraged. We are inspired.
But
now add Narendra Modi to that and then you can see how more inspired we are. But on a serious note, yes, there is brand fatigue. But remember, you're talking about 1.4 billion people, not people who have bunked office to attend a summit. I'm done.
He's done. I couldn't believe that he's done, because there's so much more to brand Modi, Suhel. Let's be a little bit more serious, because this is also the challenge that I think the opposition today is facing. When you're looking at brand Modi, that many say is getting even more powerful to what he was, say, in 2014 to 2019 to now in 2024. He began with saying, "Bahut hua mahilaon par waar, ab ki baar Modi sarkar. Bahut hui mehengai ki maar, ab ki baar Modi sarkar." That's how the narrative began in 2014. 2019 was Balakot, Pulwama, nationalism surge. And you saw in him someone who could deliver. This time it's about Modi ki guarantee. Versus, where is the opposition? Is there any single brand that you see can even fight together? Is that even possible?
No, of course there are brands. To be fair, Rahul Gandhi is a pan-national brand. But often some brands are also there on the shelf because of longevity, not because of relevance. So he will remain there. But the point is, who will you buy? भाई आप जब किराने स्टोर में जाते हैं, आपको जॉनसन बैंडेड भी मिलती है और कोई बैंडेड भी मिलती है और वो बैंडेड सारी जिंदगी रहेंगी. पर आपको ये डिसाइड करना है कि आपके जख्म के लिए सही बैंडेड कौन सी है. और मैं आपको कहता हूं कि राहुल गांधी, with all due respect, and I have to say, after the Bharat Jodo Yatra, I said, and I will maintain, he did a great job of brand revival and brand redefinition, to give him credit. But he lost steam. So come back to my original point. It is about consistency and it's about focus. One day he talks about caste census. The next day he talks about, making aloo out of gold or whatever the hell. Now to even keep up with him, I mean, it's easier to keep up with Mehbood's films than to, listen to all of this. So, I mean, every day he's flitting. Now, you asked a very important question about Modi ki guarantee, the slogans. Let me give you an example. And this published material. I've written about it September 2008. I went to meet Modi in his house in Gandhinagar. He was the chief minister. And he says, I want to show you a book that has come out, which my government has prepared. You know what that book was? On the gift city. 2008. We're talking about 16 years ago. Then he asked me, he says, Suhel bhai, kal kahan ja rahe hain? I said, Bombay. तो मिस्टर टाटा को मिलेंगे ऐसे बोलिए ही सेज उनको बोलिए कि अब वो नैनो सिंगूर से तो निकल गया यहां पे ले आए आई सेड आई विल कन्वे दिस टू मिस्टर टाटा nano happened and Mr. Tata has admitted that in various interviews it happened because of Narendra Modi and today Sanad has been converted into the Detroit of the west of India thanks to Narendra Modi. So he's a man who gets things done. He's a man who makes things happen. The next speaker you have is Hardeep Singh Puri. Ask Hardeep, how many court cases were filed against Hardeep Puri's government, against Prime Minister Modi on Kartavya Path? Did it happen? It happened. You see, जब कारवां चलता है और stray dogs भौंकते हैं, कारवां रुकता नहीं. कारवां चलते जा रहा है. That's the hallmark of great brands. You continue to do your work. You can't be stopping to answer every diatribe which is either unsubstantiated or meaningless or purposefully distractive. That's not possible.
Okay, now, just to push that point a little further, Suhel, sometimes what happens, you might have a good, decent brand, but you don't have the strategy, the wherewithal, perhaps that many eyeballs that can make that brand even, getting any closer to a brand like Narendra Modi. Do you think that also plagues the opposition? And the very fact today that you have a leader in Narendra Modi who is not just working on ground, he speaks to people directly, he coins these slogans, these acronyms, the government is all over the place, connecting with people, but the opposition somewhere is not visible. Does this mean that they are not working at all? Or you believe a part of that PR strategy also perhaps for the opposition has gone wrong?
No, I think the opposition is working. But I don't know which country they're working for or in. They seem to be fighting the elections in Fiji or Greenland or something like that. But they're certainly not fighting election in India. Because if they were, Rahul Gandhi, before his Bharat Jodo Nyay or Bharat Nyay Jodo, whatever the hell it is, he would have reached out to Mamata Banerjee. The first person who decried the Congress was their alliance partner Mamata, who said they will not even get 40 seats this time in Parliament. This is your own ally disbelieving you. How the hell do you expect the voter to believe you? A. B. You never have alliance partners who have egos bigger than their ideologies. Today, an Akhilesh Yadav or Tejasvi Yadav or, Stalin, each guy thinks he's born to be Prime Minister. Why the hell should they listen to Rahul Gandhi? Now let's get back to legacy. Indira Gandhi died on October 31, 1984. Rajiv Gandhi died in May 1991. Fair? 1991 till now. So let's imagine a person is 30 years old. He doesn't even know what Rajiv Gandhi and Indira Gandhi have done. So he doesn't even have the context of legacy. He doesn't even have the context of history. That's the problem. And as you rightly said, I think, this is my belief, that the Congress needs a strategy, but the first leg of that strategy must be Rahul Gandhi must step aside. He is not someone who can inspire. He's not someone who can lead. He may be a very good human being. He may be very bright. But as of now, he's intellectually innocent. Until he proves us wrong, he must step aside. Because he will cause a lot of damage to the long-term benefit of the Congress party. And let's be fair. India needs an opposition. But it is not Narendra Modi's job to go to Khan Market every morning looking for an opposition to buy.
Now, Suhel, even as you make that point, and our audience here, I'm glad they're having a good laugh on this, but just think of this. See, that you've spoken about Mamata Banerjee and a lot of other leaders. They say that Rahul Gandhi is the biggest TRP for Narendra Modi. The very fact today that you have a brand Rahul perhaps not as strong as a brand Modi, that adds to brand Modi also. It gives him that bump, you know. So the very fact that you will have him being compared to an Arvind Kejriwal, to an M.K. Stalin, you go down south, does that change the narrative? Especially, you know, in the southern part of the country. Why does brand Modi weaken when you come down to south?
Which school did you go to?
That is not a part of the question.
No, I'll tell you why. If you went to school as you did, and you came first in class, and it was a class of 38 people, but 37 of them were such big duffers, would you feel happy coming first? I would much rather come first where I'm surrounded by geniuses, and then beating them is fun. Can I tell you, Narendra Modi and Amit Shah, we have yes, but it's no fun for, competition. You need great competition. The fact that, and I'm not saying this, no one has paid me yet, the fact that Times Now network has ruled the roost for so long is because you all have a damn good brand. You have a good product. If you had a terrible product and great strategy, it wouldn't work. If you had a great product and no strategy, you would fail. That's the problem with the opposition today. So even if they have a great product regionally, they have a very, very poor strategic bent of mind. And you know why? They are planning for tomorrow. Modi is planning for 2047. When you plan for 2047, you play chess. When you plan for tomorrow, you play kabaddi. That's the difference.
Okay. What about brand BJP here? Where does brand BJP go? And is there a danger, like, because you spoke about brand Indira also, when you have a personality cult and perhaps a brand becoming so huge that it subsumes
Elizabeth I defined the England of that time. So Napoleon defined what was happening in France. The Tsars defined what was happening in Russia. Then came Lenin. Then came Stalin. You had Nasser in Egypt. You had, I was about to say Salman Khan. You had Saddam Hussein in Iraq. So it is very difficult to say, can you separate? Why should you separate the brands? Narendra Modi is the elected Prime Minister of India. He's not the nominated Prime Minister. He has not come through the back door. He has won an election. So he and the aspirations of brand India, if they are intertwined, it's better for the brand, Deepti. And it's better for both brands because they will need each other for sustenance and for growth.
Okay, even when you say that, I'm being informed that a lot of our viewers would also want to take questions. So we'll open up the session in just a moment. We'll get the mics to you where you are. But before that, I just want to use this opportunity, Suhel, to squeeze in one quick question. In spite of whatever we say, in spite of whatever's discussed here, why is it that for the Western press still, there is a problem with brand Modi? Is it because, of the history? Is it because of the fact that they cannot digest the fact that India is on its way to becoming a superpower? Or India today has a voice? I mean, why? Why is the Western press still so against brand Modi?
So again, without asking you which school you went to, I assume you did read William Shakespeare. If you did, there's a play, Julius Caesar, in which Mark Antony asks Brutus, why did you stab Caesar? Brutus's response is brilliant, Shakespeare. He says, it's not that I loved Caesar less. I loved Rome more. It's not that the Western press hates Modi less. They hate the success of India more. And the more you react, the more they will get under your skin. Treat them like the barking dog and treat yourself as the karma. You don't need to respond to every barking dog. If you say, but why did the New York Times do this? Why did the Washington Post? ਕੀ ਫਰਕ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੈ? ਕਿਉਂ ਕਲੇਸ਼ ਮੁੱਲ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ? ਕਿਉਂ ਸਿਆਪਾ ਲੈ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ? ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਰਨ ਦਿਓ ਜੋ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ. Why? There's an old saying in Bengali, and Bengalis were always, I'm more Bengali than Punjabi, but they're always self-victims. You ask a Bengali, কেমন দাদা সব ঠিক আছে? এই কেটে যাচ্ছে রক্ত বেরোচ্ছে না. Mean my neck is cut but no blood is coming out. That is the situation with New York Times and Washington Post. America neck কেটে যাচ্ছে কিন্তু রক্ত বেরোচ্ছে না. এই জন্য তো আপনাদের পিছনে আছে. Ignore করুন.
Okay, we can have a good laugh at that. We'll get the mics coming to the audiences in case someone wants to take a question. Anyone? Okay,
Yes.
I see a hand going up there on the left and the right both. If we can have the mics going there, please. And do remember you're asking your question to brand Suhel Seth. Yeah?
Okay, yeah.
Go on, please.
Thanks for the keynote, Suhel. It was great, and I would say I resonate to most of it, but the first question would be, when you say brand Modi or somebody as a leader and you're setting him up to one of the best standards, how important is for a leader to choose a successor, and where do you see him, let's say, on that path?
Yogi Adityanath, Amit Shah, Nitin Gadkari, what's your name? Pranav?
Pranav Virmani.
Pranav Virmani, sab possible hai, jeet ke aao.
Yeah, definitely, but when you,
Can I tell you, these are all old management notions. Will you please choose a successor? Have you asked Jamie Dimon that? Do you know who he is?
Yeah.
Have you asked him that? Deepak Parekh ran HDFC, I think, longer than India's freedom struggle. Did you ask him that? Why? How is it relevant? Let me tell you, the BJP is a cadre-run party. They will have a succession plan in place. The only problem is they haven't had the time to share it with you. Once you're free and you tell them, they'll come and visit you and share the plan.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Okay, a quick follow-up question before we take another from the gentleman there on the right who raised his hand. He just spoke about a number of names, Yogi Adityanath, Amit Shah and all. Suhel, are these equally big brands?
I want to take you...
Or they all come under the umbrella of brand Modi only?
So let's have a very interesting history session again. India has never predicted a future prime minister other than Jawaharlal Nehru. And let me take you through history today. If I miss one or two, don't miss. Pandit Nehru died on May 27, 1964. Everyone thought that, Morarji would become or whatever. You had Gulzari Lal Nanda as interim. You had Lal Bahadur Shastri. He died. It was not Indira Gandhi's turn. She became. Did you ever imagine that Narasimha Rao would be Prime Minister? Did you ever imagine I.K. Gujral would be Prime Minister? I think even I.K. Gujral never imagined he'd be Prime Minister. Deve Gowda slept through his Prime Ministership. Did you ever imagine Charan Singh would be Prime Minister? Chandrasekhar would be Prime Minister? When Vajpayee became Prime Minister, everyone thought Advaniji would be Prime Minister. When Advaniji thought he would be Prime Minister, Narendra Modi became Prime Minister. Have you ever predicted a Prime Minister other than Nehru? No. So, jab hoga, to hoga, to quote Sam Petroda, hua, to hua. You must always keep the opposition happy.
Okay, I just have time for one quick question. Can we have just the mic?
Yeah.
There? Yes.
Barkha.
Quickly, because our next guest, the Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri, is also waiting, I'm told.
Yeah, it was,
yes.
It was wonderful to hear Suhel brand. And you can...
See, we've turned him into a big brand
he's already a big
yes,
brand,
yes.
like Modi ji. Many of you wanted to know, everybody talks about Modi's successes. Anywhere, in one place, can you mention where he failed and you want to improve him?
I think it's a very myopic way of defining great brands. You know, in every packet of cornflakes or cereals, there'll be one ingredient that you may not like, but you don't define that cereal by that. Let me go back to what I have said essentially. You've got to understand the DNA of great brands. Great brands are about consistency, they're about focus, but most importantly, they're about getting things done. Atashi and whatever her surname is, I can never pronounce it, Marlena or Marlena or whatever, she says Arvind Kejriwal is an idea. But you know what? An idea, if it is not executed, no one sees it. It's like a ship in the night. It sails, but you don't see it. Modi's difference is he has been able to set an example of delivery. Modi's ministers, of which one of the most eminently successful minister here, Hardeep, whose wife is a far better author than most in this room, Lakshmi, let me tell you what they have achieved. And I've said this to Hardeep, I've said this time and time over again. The BJP's only failure has been in marketing itself. The Congress's only success has been in marketing its failures. Now figure that one out. So when I tell you that the Prime Minister does not need to do, as we would say in Ambersar, Tindora Peetna. That's not his job. His job is to make sure that people live with dignity. He's done that. His job is to make sure that he replaces coal cooking ovens made out of matti with gas cylinders. He's done that. Direct benefit transfer, done that. 370, done that. I don't know how many of you go to Srinagar as often as I do. Talk to every person. Earlier when you went to Srinagar, they would say, "Aap Hindustan se aaye hain?" Today they don't say that. Because Modi has made them Indians. He has not converted them into angry Kashmiris, which the Nehrus had done. And I must say this. Let me also tell you, I travel overseas once every 2 weeks. Nowhere and at no point in time has India been taken more seriously, with greater panache, with more pride than it has been taken today. It takes a great leader to encourage his people to believe that they can conquer the world. You know, I started with that unicorn story about VFS. Today, we are the world's largest providers of unicorns. We have great authors. We have great scientists. We have sent people to the, we have sent vehicles to the moon for less than the cost of a Hollywood film. Would that have been possible if your leader said, "I don't believe in you"? And now I will end by just saying one thing. You asked me the fundamental problem of the Congress. From its utterances, the Congress hates the idea of India. They love India's idea, but they hate the idea of India. And they hate the success that Indians are capable of. Today, what Modi has done is he's come with a giant human saw of encouragement and unshackled every Indian. He has made every Indian believe in him or herself, and he's told the world that if you're Indian, the world is your oyster. For that and that alone, we need to be grateful that a man like him passed the annals of India. That apart, you've got a great television network with very powerful anchors such as yourself and Navika. And on that note, I must leave because you mustn't keep a minister waiting, no matter which government it is.
Fascinating conversation. Thank you so much, Suhel. Thank you.